excellent to each other. And party on, dudes. I'm back with another Legacy League, and this time we are playing Esper, Tempted, Frog. Tempted because Samwise the Stouthearted has the ring ability where you get tempted by the ring, and Frog because, of course, we are playing Psychic Frog like every competitive Legacy deck in 2024. Not every single one, but many of them. It is definitely the most played creature for a reason, because it can be a card draw engine and because it can solo certain aggro strategies that don't board, that don't have removal in their deck, which I'm sorry, but if you don't have removal in your deck, you're just asking to get frogged. All right, let's take a look at the deck. So this is Esper. We do get to play the amazing card printed way back in Alpha, Swords to Plowshare, so we can remove threats with ease and permanently, exiling them completely so they don't come back from reanimation. Then we also get one of the most, generally useful removal spells, Prismatic Ending. Now this can't hit cards like Thought-Knot Seer, but it can hit most cards that cost less than 3 mana, including cards like, for example, Ensnaring Bridge, that would normally be game over for a lot of decks. I'm also playing very strong creatures, Tamiyo, Inquisitive Student. We've got 2 of those. And of course, she frequently flips into Tamiyo Seasoned Scholar, a 1-mana planeswalker. I'm playing a single Murktide Regent, just as a way to potentially end the game, surprisingly. I'm playing, of course, 4 Psychic Frog, 4 Baleful Strix. This card has fallen off a lot because of this card, Orcish Bowmasters. But I think Baleful Strix is really strong right now because it basically 2-for-1s Eldrazi decks and any deck that has to attack through it. And also, Baleful Strix is a great answer to Frog, especially if people aren't playing main deck Bowmasters. Bowmasters, of course, being the reason that Baleful Strix has fallen off lately, but I think it's still good. We're going to play it. We're going to hopefully block a lot of powerful creatures and trade profitably with them, netting a card in the process. This is not a tempo deck, but it does play 4 Wastelands. The reason it plays 4 Wastelands is because you kind of have to play Wasteland if you want to play a control deck in 2024. There's Urza's Saga, there's Cavern of Souls, there are all these lands that just do crazy stuff like Gaia's Cradle. You have to be able to remove these to buy yourself a little bit of time or to disrupt your opponent. Samwise can potentially get these back. Let me talk about Samwise. This is a card that you may not have seen because it got published in the same set as Orcish Bowmasters, and it was cursed with 1 toughness. But Samwise is a great creature. It has flash. Samwise comes down, and he can immediately return a permanent from your graveyard to your hand that went to your graveyard this turn. So Samwise can potentially buy back Baleful Strix, but more often than not, what is Samwise going to be getting back? Fetch lands and Wastelands. Now, some people, when they play like Tempted decks, which are not popular, by the way, this is an underpowered card in my humble opinion. If they'd made this 2 toughness, this would be a Legacy staple, but it's a 1 toughness card. So as a result, it's very niche in its play. But basically, in my opinion, like being able to get back permanents at instant speed is a great form of non-card draw card advantage that you can use even in the face of an Orcish Bowmasters. So this deck, of course, includes the entire Cantrip suite, as usual. It also has 4 Force of Wills and what I'll call the Confusion suite. Because if you play 1 Stifle, 1 Spell Pierce, 1 Daze, your opponent has no idea what to expect. They didn't expect the Daze, and now they're going to be playing around it for the rest of the match, even if you never see a Daze again or if you board it out. If you Spell Pierce something, they're going to be playing around it for the rest of the game. If you Stifle something, they're going to be playing around it. And these are not embarrassing cards on their own. So it's not a big deal to have them in your deck. At the very least, they pitch to Force or they pitch to Frog. All right, let's talk about the sideboard. Because we're white, we get very powerful sideboard effects in Lavinia and Containment Priest, which is very good against Cradle Control, any Natural Order, Green Sun type deck. And it can incidentally shut down Dredge, reanimate, a lot of strategies. We're playing full 3 Consigned to Memory. I would never play 4, I don't think. It's not, unless Eldrazi becomes completely dominant. But 3 seems like a very good number to address the Eldrazi situation. We also are playing 2 Harbinger of the Seas because who wouldn't want to resolve something that effectively ends the game against a lot of decks, right? Like lands. I think this card's really good. We do have basics. We're playing 21 lands, so we can squeeze in a few basics. We're playing a swamp, an island, and a plains. And importantly, we have Karakas, which is a card that we can't usually play, but it does tap for white, and it has positive synergy with Samwise and with Tamiyo. So that was a long deck tech, but I wanted to make sure that you understood and appreciated kind of the different moving parts of this deck. I do not expect to do particularly well, but I do expect to have a lot of fun and get a lot of ring tempting triggers. I didn't even mention how the ring works in case you're not sure, like you haven't heard of it before. Basically, every time you get tempted by the ring, you get like a new ability on one of your creatures. So the first one gives your creature Skulk, where it can't be blocked by creatures with power that are greater than that. Meaning your Psychic Frogs are almost always going to get through. Your Tamiyo can no longer be blocked by anything, unless your opponent just happens to have a 0/1 flyer, in which it can't kill Tamiyo. So basically, it positively synergizes with Tamiyo and with Psychic Frog. And then if you get it up to the second level, which I frequently do, you get a loot effect where every time you attack, you get to draw and discard. And there are two other effects that will probably not come up because I'm only playing 3 of these Samwise. These are legendary, by the way, so you don't generally want to play 4. And in fact, you might want to just play 2. But I went ahead and leaned into them because we do have lots of white mana, and we do want to be doing exciting things where we recur cards from our graveyard. All right, let's get to the matches. I'm going to play a full league of 5 matches against whoever happens to be online right now. Hopefully, we get to test against Eldrazi. Hopefully, we don't have to play against Rescam. That deck is going to be gone, hopefully, in like 2 weeks anyway. And I don't want to, squander time testing against it. But if we do run into it, we're not going in there completely weaponless. We do have 2 Nile spell bombs, and we do have a surgical. So, and of course, Containment Priest, very good against Rescam. Let's do it. All right, round 1. We are up against Kosame. They seem to be playing kind of a tempo deck here with Psychic Frog, Orcish Bowmasters, Tamiyo, Nethergoyf. This is what they were playing 2 days ago. So they're probably playing something similar. And you can watch me play similar decks on the channel, though I haven't played Nethergoyf. I did do a league with Nethergoyf. I didn't do very well. I'm not that impressed with him, but I might record one if you want me to. But this is the deck we're playing against. This seems like a very reasonable opening hand. We've got access to mana, even basic lands if we want. And we have a wasteland that we can potentially recur with Samwise. I'm going to keep this. All right, our opponent has kept 7, and they are opening with an Undercity Sewer. I am not the kind of person that just fires off wastelands if I can avoid it. Not with this deck. This deck is a control deck. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play this out. Let's see. Are they playing Stifle? They're playing 3 Stifle. So I think it does pay to go ahead and grab an island here just around Stifle, because that would be catastrophic if we didn't have a blue source. We are definitely playing on basics against the 3 Stifle 4 wasteland deck. All right, I'm going to just Stifle this. Stifle doesn't necessarily get any better, and this will force them to like play around it for the rest of the game. They're probably going to daze to try to counter this. That's okay. Again, our strategy was not to actually screw them out of land, but to just confuse them. As I said, the confusion suite. We have Spell Pierce as well, which we can potentially use next turn. We've gotten a daze out of their hand. So it's worth noting that they still okay. This could be a problem. Let's take a look. Let's see what we get here. We don't have the immediate ability to get a white mana to get rid of this. Also, we don't have a fetch land, so we can't really use Sam for what we want to use him for. We could go ahead and try to brainstorm here. There is a possibility that even if we find a plow, our opponent has a way to interact with the plow. The other thing we could do is we could just let the frog hit, and we could put Bowmasters out there. They are playing some number of Bowmasters themselves, so casting the first Bowmasters is dangerous, especially when we're just going to basically get like a slightly larger token out of it. I think here, I don't want this for sure. They didn't fetch a basic, which is disrespectful, which means that they probably have additional lands in their hand. So my thinking is we probably just want to... Yeah, I would feel so embarrassed if we like Bowmastered and then they just Bowmastered in response. We wouldn't have any counterplay to that. So I am going to go ahead and brainstorm now. Brainstorming around a... okay, so we didn't hit anything good enough in my opinion. What we could do is we could go ahead and play out an Undercity Sewer, and then next turn, even if they waste, we could play our own Frog, but we would be behind. I think that is okay though. So I'm going to put this back. We're not going to use this for a while. This is one of the problems of playing a 3-color deck. They're not encountering this problem because they're not playing a 3-color deck. What we could do, actually, is we could just get rid of this completely. When we play out Undercity Sewers and we flip it into the graveyard. So I think I am going to do that. And then we're just going to count on, just playing a whole lot of creatures and overpowering them. So this is going to go to the graveyard. Our opponent's probably going to be like, interesting. It may further confuse them as to what we're doing here. We did spend like 2 minutes deliberating on that, and this is likely to be a long match. So I am going to try to play faster. But I like to talk through my lines and really think about things because Psychic Frog is not a card that I take lightly. I think they're likely to play a Wasteland here. Usually the heuristic is you play a land before you attack. They may just be seeing what they get, see if they can get a Wasteland. They can get a Wasteland. That's great for us. So they're at 6 cards. There's definitely a chance they have a Fatal Push in there. What I can do is I can... okay, I think it's also possible that they have Bowmasters. This is kind of like screaming Bowmasters to me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play this out, and I'm just going to go blue, black, Psychic Frog. Now, technically they have Psychic Frog supremacy here. We'll see what they do. They're probably not going to expect Spell Pierce. Okay, I don't think it's smart to try to trade here. I'm just going to pass. They're going to hit me, and they're going to get another card, and I'm going to be able to attack in next turn. Now, what I would like for them to do is maybe Bowmasters in response to the draw trigger, and then I can Bowmasters their Bowmaster. Let's see if they have a removal spell here. Another Psychic Frog. Okay, this is getting dicey. The fact that they have 6 cards and Psychic Frogs, I may not be able to match this. Okay, we're drawing Wastelands. I don't think we use the Wasteland. I think we hold it as Daze Protection. Unfortunately, let's see. Hypothetically, they dump their entire hand into keeping the Psychic Frog alive. They wouldn't do that. I think it's quite likely that if I attack, they're going to be able to... even if they dump their entire hand, they're going to be able to quickly recoup it. So this is just one of those situations where being on the draw and having them cast the first Psychic Frog kind of dicey. And if I play out a Psychic Frog, they'll probably attack with both, and then I attack with both. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think I'm going to go ahead and play out a Psychic Frog here. No, I don't want to do that. I think I'm going to pass, and I'm going to get Bowmasters going. And if they attack in, great. They don't have enough to give flying to both of them, and I think what they're going to try to do is bait me into getting into a Psychic Frog war. Okay, they're attacking with both of these. I think I do want to block one, so I'm going to go like this. Bowmaster. Oh, I screwed up and I tapped the blue. I didn't want to do that. Yeah, I should have tapped the Wasteland. There's no reason for me to tap the blue there because I need blue for Spell Pierce. This league is already off to a bad start, but I promise I'm going to do everything I can to recover. I'm not going to tilt. I don't think we block. I think I just get the 2 draw triggers here. They're going to go up to 9 cards. They're going to do something. They're going to cast a Bowmasters of their own here. I can't interact with that. I'm just going to let that happen. And they're going to ping my Bowmasters, and then I'm going to ping their Bowmasters. And I wouldn't be surprised if this gets dazed. They have 6 cards in their hand. If this gets dazed, I'll probably just concede. Okay, it gets forced. Yeah, I'm just going to concede. I don't think we were winning that, and I want to preserve time. It's a very snowballing card, Psychic Frog. Now, you can definitely argue that I made some misplays. Obviously, tapping the blue was a misplay. I was going to cast a a second Bowmasters anyway if they were casting that. It didn't have a big consequential. It wasn't of consequence to the game, but in terms of sideboarding, I don't think we board anything in here. I don't think there's anything that makes this deck better. Harbinger of the Seas is not going to help in this matchup because they have access to basic lands and they're only on 2 color, one of which is blue. Yeah. You could argue Lavinia might be okay, but I don't think she's that great. I think I'd rather keep my deck as it is. So I think we're pretty unfavored in this specific matchup. And the reason is the fact that we have plows doesn't really matter. This is a Turbo Murktide. If they don't have a way to remove Murktide, I'm going to keep this. And I'm going to try to bait them into wasting me by just opening non-basic Ponder. I would love for them to spend turns wasting me. I think we take all this. We don't need this fetch. I'll do this. All right, and we'll pass. And our hope is that they start wasting and that we come out on top because we have more lands. They may proactively fetch around. Oh, so that I guess maybe they are playing Rescam. I didn't see any indication they were playing Rescam or anything other than what they were playing 3 days ago. But if they switch to Rescam, that's really bad for us. They have this information now, so they know not to bother wastelanding me, which kind of sucks. All right, and it looks like they might have Reanimate. Yep. We're going to lose another card. Hopefully they don't take the Brainstorm because I really do want to Brainstorm to get rid of some of these lands, but of course they took it. So we know our top card, I think, is a Wasteland. So we are going to need a Ponder to get rid of at least, well, we could just fetch around one of those lands. All right, the good news, though, is we are playing exile-based removal. So if we can remove this Grief, we don't have to worry about it coming back. I think I'm going to go ahead and, I'm going to play this out. And then I think I'm going to fetch first because we know at least one of those cards is dead. And we can always fetch again next turn if we need to. I'm just going to get a Tundra here. I'm not going to play on basics. And I'm going to Ponder and see if I can find a Plow, which I do find. Also find a Force, which is pretty bad here. Yeah, I don't want the Force at all. I'll take the land, I guess, just as a way to get through stuff. If we Plow now, they can't do anything about it. I'm just going to do it now. Preserve our life. I mean, they could Force there, but now they don't have any cards in their graveyard for reanimation purposes. They could easily just entomb something. No play. I love it. All right, I'm just going to get rid of this Force. We do need to draw action. They can draw out of this. But it looks like they went all in on a scam hand. No land. All right. There we go. They could definitely push this and then reanimate it, which would suck. I think I am going to... do I even play this out? I'm not going to play out the land. I'm just going to go blue, black, and I'll keep a land. I'll play a Wasteland out. If I play a Wasteland, they already know I have a Wasteland. I'm going to play it out. They don't know I have a second Wasteland. They may try to power through them if they're concerned about having access to colors. I don't think they would be, but if they're playing a card like Douthie, Voidwalker or something, they are going to need 2 black, so they'll be incentivized to fetch. The Great Dark Betrayal. Yeah, that works. The great news is we did show them a Stifle last game, so they may be a little bit scared if I keep blue up. Oh, man, we're just not getting any breaks here. Which is better at this point. I am going to play this out. This is a shuffle effect in case we draw a Brainstorm, which would be, an amazing top deck. So even though we're developing and everything, we're not necessarily favored because Rescam has the ability to just win, like, basically off one land. Like, you entomb off one land, and then the next turn you reanimate. We don't have anything to stop that. All right, I'm just going to be patient with my shuffle here. Please don't give me land. Oh, it's terrible. I mean, I did put 21 lands in the deck, so I kind of deserve it. I'm just going to hold. These are cards to pitch to Frog. These are cards to Brainstorm back with Brainstorm. Wow. We just cannot capitalize on this at all. They're completely mana screwed, and we're not drawing any land. They're discarding. Okay. Discarded the Tamiyo. Strix. We're going to play it. Black, blue, Strix. What are we drawing to? I mean, this is a reason to start playing out land, is that we could just hit runner. Okay. I think what I'm going to do here is I am going to go ahead and fetch. And I'm just going to get another Strix going. Let's go ahead and grab this. Black, blue, Strix. All right, and I'll play this out. And I've got Orcish Bowmasters. Do I want to play it out? I'm tempted to play it out because if they do find a land, it kind of locks out their cantrips. They're not going to daze this. I'm more concerned about them dazing it than anything. Well, I shouldn't be concerned about them dazing it at this point. And actually, I don't even have... Well, that was dumb. Okay, I don't have anything to fetch with that. I'm just going to pass. Yeah, so I need to get used to... Because, where did my second underground... Oh, I've got both of them in play, and I've got this. Okay. Fatal Push is fine. That's a 1-for-1. I'm happy they Fatal Push that instead of my Bowmasters, which will come down next turn. All right. I wouldn't mind drawing more Strixes. Force can be hard cast. It can even be hard cast around these wastelands. So I'm just going to... I'll go ahead and play it out now. There's no point in trying to get them. All right. And we're just going to see if we can limp across the finish line before they can find a land. This is like the least explosive start ever. All right. They do have removal. They've used some removal. I would be very sad if they could somehow push this and reanimate it. Did they find a land finally? They did not. Well, as they say, the beating will continue until morale improves. Beatings will continue. I got to get that quote right. All right. What do we get? Ponder's not bad. I'm going to attack first. I realized that I could be giving up a damage, but I just want to go ahead and get my attack done first. All right, I'm going to ponder off this. See if we can find a way to close. Psychic Frog is something that can close. All these cards are great. So what I'm going to do is I'll play out the Psychic Frog. I want to have Force up. I'm just going to wait a turn. I know that might sound cowardly. Yeah, because I've got Force around days right now. Okay, they did find a second land. It's going to be an island that they're fetching, certainly. And we'll see what they cast. Okay, I think they probably have a Bowmasters of their own. That's what they're kind of signaling to me. And I wouldn't be surprised if they had like counter magic to back it up. Okay, they're doing something now. They wanted to wait until my turn so that they would force me to use... Oh, okay. I'm going to go ahead and attack first. And if they have a Bowmaster, they have a Bowmaster. I will attempt to hardcast force it. And if they force back or do something to stop that, okay, they didn't. Good. Yeah, I'm just going to wait. I've got a Brainstorm in hand. I can Brainstorm this bad wasteland away, and I can deploy a Frog next turn. That's fine. Question is, do I want to just get this out of the way? I'm going to Brainstorm first and see if I can find a Caracas. I don't think I'll be able to find that, but who knows? So I don't find Caracas. I do find a Shuffle effect. I found a backup Force or a backup Plow. And I think what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to plow this. I'm just going to try to kill him quickly. Remove this blocker. I'll go. Yeah, I need more blue mana. Okay, so I think I'll go black. I mean, this just does the most damage if I just go ahead and put my Bowmasters down and then just hold these. I know you're thinking like, why not just slam the Frog? The Frog just ends it. But I want to make it like really uncomfortable for them to do stuff. I'll hit them for 4. They're going to go to 4. And reanimation is off. A lot of things they want to do are off. And I do have Plow up. They have seen Psychic Frog, so it's not like I'm like withholding any information about the nature of my deck. But I have them dead on board. That's fine. I'll just plow it. I'm just going to plow now. Because I have double days mana up. They wouldn't even be able to double days. They force here. Okay, they're discarding cards just to gain life. That's fine with me. Discarding a Brainstorm. Are they going to discard like a juicy reanimation target? What are they going to do? They need to discard a lot of cards to survive because I'm going to hit for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, yeah, they need to discard one more card to survive. No, wait, they're going up to 6. Okay, they just conceded. And I'm sure they're just like, man, this is a grind. Like, I didn't have any land. You know, I play very carefully, even in those situations. Now that we know that they're playing Grief and Reanimate, I am going to bring these in. I'm not sure about bringing this in. This is actually a better general purpose card because it has text. It can block, it can attack, and it's both graveyards. I don't want to have to surgical my own stuff. Cards that we can pull out on the draw. I think Daze is really bad. They've seen Daze. I think Spell Pierce is probably bad too. Stifle probably bad. So if we just take the Tempo Suite out, Stifle can protect my own land, but I'll probably be playing off basics. Any other changes? You could definitely argue that like Force Will is not necessary here. So if we pull out Force Will and we bring in a Surgical, that Spell Pierce is probably better than Force of Will in a lot of cases. Daze might be better too. I don't know. Say we do that. No, I'll just keep one of each. Okay. So you may be thinking like, well, it's a combo deck. Why take out Force of Will? I mean, technically we're on the draw. Maybe yeah. Okay. I talked myself into it. And let's see. I think everything else is great. I mean, yeah, they're playing. I still think Strix is good enough to play. One of the things about this deck is because it has 12 or 11 X1s, you kind of are baiting the Bowmaster out. Okay, this hand's great. I'm going to keep this. This is resilient to a lot of different things they can do. It doesn't have a lot of basics, but we can go fetch a basic island here. Please don't scam me. I mean, I'm in a better condition to be scammed than I've ever been here with this 7-card hand that has like land, has redundancy, double Brainstorm. If they take the Force, I'm going to start sweating. I can't wait for this card to be banned, by the way. And I don't think I'm the only one. I think pretty much the entire community is tired of this card. They have perfect information about my hand. They have another mana that they can do something with. And why not just reanimate it? I think it's fine. I'm not going to force this because they could Daze, and that would be catastrophic. I have lots of ways of removing this later. Interesting that they went after the Strix. So they're just stripping all my my creatures, leaving me with bad 2-for-1s. So they're down to 3 cards. If I remove this, what do they exile? They exile the Bowmaster, which may mean they have another Bowmaster. I can't imagine why else they would do that. Bowmaster is so strong against my deck. All right. I think we go ahead and presume they have Bowmaster, and we just proactively get one of these Brainstorms out of our hand. That might, again, seem extremely weak. They did us the favor of taking all our blue-black cards, so I don't feel bad about just getting a basic island here. I'm going to fill up our graveyard, and then next turn, especially if we force, we have Murktide. These are pretty bad. I'm going to put back the non-basic. I'm going to put this land that we're going to draw again back. Actually, I'm going to put the Murktide back because I don't want them to exile it from our hand. And then they seem to be optimizing for removal that, like Fatal Push, and then that card that, like the 1 black exile card from the graveyard. So I think what I can do, I probably actually should have, no, because I'm going to shuffle after I rip this Murktide. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go all in on this Murktide. Murktide can race them. Can it? It's only 4-drop. Oh, yeah, it'll only be 4 power. Okay. So it can't race them. They're attacking for 3, I'm attacking for 4. And there's not a convenient way, there's not like a second Murktide coming to pump because there's only 1 Murktide in my deck. I should have put back this Swamp so I could go fetch it. I think I am going to just take a turn to brainstorm here. I know that one of the cards is bad on top. No, I'm just going to brainstorm now. Okay, we got a Psychic Frog. I can put this back and fetch that. And I can put this back. Okay. So now, next turn, I can play either Psychic Frog. What I'll probably do is pitch Psychic Frog to force. And then plan to stick a Murktide next turn. They have a lot of stifles, but I don't want to do this during their turn. I'll wait until the next turn. Worst case scenario, we redraw a land, so it's not the end of the world if they stifle anyway. We are taking chunks of 3 each turn, though. All right. They're attacking first before they play land. I am pretty worried about this grief now. Okay. That wasteland means I'm definitely not going to be fetching non-basics here. Reanimate on Psychic Frog. I have 2 cards in hand. I can just play out my Psychic Frog and block their Psychic Frog, but they're still going to be attacking me for 3 every turn. Also, this is a card from my own graveyard. I think we let that resolve, though. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, it doesn't matter whether I do it now or later. I'll just do it now. I guess technically it was better if they have Stifle, which they don't, thankfully. It would be better to pass in the next turn. That way I'd have mana for days. If they stifled and then dazed. Let's see what we draw. Samwise. Okay, Samwise is not going to get us there. So I'm going to play this out. And then because I'm not going to play with the Tundra for sure. And then I'll just play this out. And I've got Daze Protection. And I do have more cards, so I can potentially fight the Psychic Frog in the air. And then next turn will be the Murktide turn. And what we'll probably do is we'll Murktide, and then I can even return the Polluted Delta to my hand. But if they attack with Psychic Frog and they're ready to dump cards into it, okay, they're gaining flying. Gosh, I'm not going to be able to... I think I block here and go to Hellbent. I don't like doing that because if they have Fatal Push, that's really problematic. Yeah, and I have to decide whether I'm going to block before... Oh, they skipped through their attack step. They made a mistake. That was absolutely unintentional. There's no way that was intentional. Tamiyo's fine. All right. So we established the top card of our deck. Do we know what the top card? I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it's... Gosh, I just can't remember. I mean, we're not going to go fetch anyway because we want to have all this access to all this mana. We don't want them to waste us here. What was the top card? Sorry, I'm playing badly. Okay, let's just draw it. It's a land. Oh, it's a plow. We didn't know what it was. Okay, I'm really glad I didn't shuffle, even though I would have gotten a different random card. Okay, so I think what we do here is we want to Samwise plow. Do we want to do that? If we play the Murktide, they can't attack in with any of this stuff. Murktide will be a 5/5 flyer. They can attack in with this. Okay, so I'm going to go get a Tundra here. See if they stifle it. Tundra. Now I'm going to play another Tundra. I'm going to go blue, blue, Murktide. We're going to exile 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Blue, blue. Okay. And now, I think I'm just going to go ahead and attempt to do this and get my fetch back. I think likely they will daze if they have a daze. So this will be a great test to see whether they have a daze. Okay. We'll get that back. All right. I can no longer jump the frog, which I don't really need for defense here. I'm going to choose to give Psychic Frog the ability, but they can still block and pitch afterward. But they won't be able to block with Grief. Yeah, I'm going to do it to Psychic Frog, and now I can attack with Psychic Frog. They can still block with Tamiyo, but they would lose their Tamiyo. If they block with Psychic Frog, I can just discard 2 cards to it and not lose my Psychic Frog here. If they block with Tamiyo, I can kill Tamiyo. it'll be interesting to see what they do here. I don't care about the force. I don't care about the delta, but I do care about the plow. Double blocking. All right, well, I am going to do this Psychic Frog first. Okay, and now I'm going to discard this delta. Let's see if they discard. I think if I just hit OK, then we go to combat and their frog dies. So they're going to probably discard. Okay, I'm going to discard another card. I'll discard my force. I'm going to be blown out really badly if they have a Fatal Push as their last card. But if they discard, I'll probably just discard Plow to get rid of the frog completely. If they push here, it's not the end of the world. I've still got Murktide up, which will block their frog when it comes back. They're thinking very hard about this. All right, they did indeed have a Brazen Borrower, which is fine. It's going to get borrowed back to my hand. Now they get a +1 counter. It doesn't matter. And we're done. We're going to pass to their turn. Next turn, we have Plow, which I will aim at the frog. Unless they get like a second Wasteland or something, that would be bad. But we are going to definitely be blocking this frog. I think we have to let Tamiyo through. Killing the frog is the priority. Okay. Attacking with Tamiyo. This must mean they have a Brainstorm effect. Otherwise, they wouldn't attack with Tamiyo here just to get a card. A second Brazen Borrower would be devastating if that's what they have. They're cracking the clue. And do they have another draw trigger? All right. Looks like we killed their Tamiyo. So they were able to effectively cycle their Tamiyo for 3 mana. They have another Tamiyo. Okay. That's fine. So we're going to replay the frog and we're going to plow their frog. Wow. This is freaking insane. Let's get rid of this first. If we, I'm just gonna, I think I do need to get this off my back. Yeah, because we're taking a lot of damage from it. And then I'm just gonna risk the last card in their hand being Daze, because I really do need to get this frog down. Okay, it wasn't Daze. All right, let's go to combat. We're gonna attack with the squad. If they want to take the damage from Murktide, they can take it. All right, and they choose to take it. Next turn, they will have Brazen Borrower in play and potentially another card. Definitely the scariest thing they could do here. They don't have any good reanimation targets, but if they are playing rescam and not just like a value scam, blue-black scam like the traditional scam before the reanimator or before the Entomb tech came on the scene, we probably don't need to worry too much about their reanimation plan. All right, there's no reason not to attack here unless you think that I'm going to kill you. They have they've tapped out of being able to play Brazen Borrower. They may be able to flip this and use the negative ability. Okay, they're eating their clue. Oh, is that yeah, I guess that is technically the third card. All right. So our Murktide can kill this, and then our other creatures can attack for combat damage. They have one card left in their hand. Yeah, I am definitely going to kill Tamiyo with Murktide. I don't like to leave that in play. Every turn when we leave it in play is a turn that it's potentially doing damage. We could attack all at Tamiyo. I don't think that's necessary. So I'm going to go to combat. I'm going to attack Tamiyo. And I'm going to attack... I think it's fine to attack all. Just in case they have some shenanigans they're going to do here. And now I'll discard to give it power so it can do damage as well. And then Tamiyo should die. We should get a card. Okay, are they going to push this? Definitely a possibility. Oh, no, they're not. Tamiyo's dead. I'm going to play this out. This is a pretty good card here. So if they have another Tamiyo, we can stop it, potentially. We can also just maybe recast this. If they kill anything, I can just bounce this and get it back. Okay, I'm going to return target permanent to a hand. Okay, my Caracas is dead. All right, they're playing a Tamiyo, which is fine. I can bounce it next turn. All right, and they have the potential to deploy a Brazen Borrower. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to go ahead and attempt to cast this and get my Caracas back. I will choose to give the ability to Psychic Frog, I guess. I mean, doesn't really matter that much. Oh, I have to click this. I'll get this back. I have 5 minutes on the clock, which should be plenty to end this game. Yeah, I'll give Psychic Frog the Ring Bearer status. I don't think they're likely playing Caracas. Okay. Well, this feels great. So I can draw. I've got Force of Will up if I wait on bouncing Tamiyo. I don't think they're going to block here. Let's see. I can do 1, 2, 7, 8. That's a lot of damage. If I attempt to bounce and they have like a Caracas, that's pretty bad. But then I can just attack her. Let's do that. Okay, I'm going to go to the combat. Attack with all creatures. So I get to draw a card and discard a card. I'll do that first, and then, yeah, I don't need either of these cards. I'll discard this. Then I'm just going, I'll hang on to this. I think it's fine. This does address a lot of things they could potentially play out. Like, for example, they're going to play this out, and I can just exile it if they don't trade here. I'm not sure what they're doing. I think they're just chumping. It's fine. All right, so we're going to get through for 4 damage. We're going to get a draw trigger. Oh, interesting. Well, I am going to just exile this. So they don't have any attackers on the table. I don't want them to somehow like string together 8 damage. Now they're dead on board. They're very dead on board. I don't think they play Animate Dead. So they wouldn't have the life to do a reanimation if they get like a Traxa in the graveyard or something. Okay, we won. Wow, that was a grinder. That was like a long game, but you can see the value of Plow. Plow is very strong in this matchup, and we did get to do the thing with Samwise, so I'm very happy about that. Match 2. All right, we're back for round 2 against Bob Buttons. Very strong control player, most likely on this list, which I may actually play on the channel here. It's a Beanstalk list, so it's Sultai, but it has 4 Tamiyo, so really into Tamiyo. So like essentially 12 draw engine cards. They're even playing Lorien Revealed, Murderous Cut. Yeah, this looks like a really good deck. Now, yeah, conservative mana base. I'm not sure what they're cutting. They're cutting. They're not playing Witherbloom Command. They're not playing any Stifles. They're playing the full 4 days. I think this is a mistake. I don't think it's ever correct to play 4 days unless you really have like a tempo deck, like a Delver type deck, or you know, the Nethergoyf deck can get away with playing 4 days. But I generally think that you don't want all 4 days because they tend to like really be dead late in the game. I usually play 2 or 3. And today I'm playing 1. So if I can get this, but I mean, that said, they are going to be able to defend a Beanstalk when I pierce it. So I'm going to put this out here. I'm going to keep it just as is. They're not playing Stifle with this list anyway. So Polluted Delta is in this list, of course. So yeah, Tropical Island. So far, everything is proceeding as we would expect. I don't really want to do anything about this. It's not a force target. Murktide is not going to come out for a long time. When Murktide comes out, it could be potentially very good. I think most likely we're going to just grind them out, and Bowmasters is going to be really important to that. All 12 of their draw engine cards do use... what do I want to do here? I feel like I want to play this out, and I am going to let them get a trigger on that. I don't want to Plow now because they could have days. Plow is also potentially really good against Psychic Frog. I'd much rather Plow a Psychic Frog than a Tamiyo. One thing to note is even if they ultimate Tamiyo, that's not a big deal to me because I have Bowmasters, and they're going to have to play around the fact that I have Bowmasters in my deck. This is fine. Please play a Up the Beanstalk that I can pierce. If I pierce this, then they don't get to flipper. If I respond by plowing, then they can potentially daze and do a bunch of other stuff. I don't think I want to give her this opportunity. I think I am going to go ahead and get an Underground Sea, and I'm going to Pierce. Pierce is like a lot lower cost in terms of like your tempo because you're not returning a land to your hand. Also, note that daze wouldn't have worked here. They have a second one. We don't really have a way to stop her, do we? I mean, I am kind of thinking that, you know, it would be pretty devastating if we let that resolve. The Murktide is not doing anything right now. The daze back, I'll be pretty devastated. They are playing 4 dazes. So let it be known that I knew that was a possibility. So they just got a 2-for-1, and now they've got their Planeswalker in play. We do have Prismatic Ending to potentially remove it, but it's gonna go up pretty quickly. So I think next turn I'm gonna definitely deploy a Orcish Bowmasters because they don't seem to play it, and I'm just gonna start. Now, Orcish Bowmasters can't profitably attack in. The token from it can. I'm going to go ahead and knock a loyalty off it if this resolves. They're forcing. All right. So we're going to have to Bowmasters next turn. If they have a wasteland, this game is just over because they can assert them so much tempo. Wasting off white would be smart because that is my removal color. They don't seem to have a wasteland or they're not playing it out. Psychic Frog is fine. I will probably plow Psychic Frog instead of going after Tamiyo. Man, maybe I don't. They've got one card in hand. If I play Bowmasters, they're not going to be able to attack in with the Psychic Frog without triggering Bowmasters. So I think the play is to, I'm going to go ahead and play the Bowmasters. Bowmasters also makes it harder for them to use the clue. So I think what I do here is I'm going to do both. I'm going to go ahead and play a Bowmasters first. That's the more important of the two spells to resolve. Hit Tamiyo. It does stop Tamiyo's ultimate. Or it, delays it. And then I think I am going to go ahead and just plow now while they have one card in hand. If their last card is Daze, I'll just be crushed. But they forced last turn, so. Okay. So we're just chilling. Hoping that they don't waste us off one of our colors because we do want to deploy the Strix next turn. Strix is good against them. Yeah, they're probably going to waste us off white. Oh, they're wasting us off black. Interesting. All right, well, don't have a lot to do here, unfortunately. I do think we waste them off their lands. They may be thinking about a brainstorm here. Yep, and now they're like, wait, I can't brainstorm. So I'm pretty sure the last card in hand is a brainstorm. If it's a fatal push, the game's over. I'm going to go to combat, and they're probably going to push. There's no point in attacking. Now I'm just going to waste their other land. Okay. All right. We're just chilling, and they've got like a Tamiyo that's going to have like infinite toughness, basically. I have to find a Prismatic Ending before they can find a way to remove my Orcish Bowmasters or I lose. They have a wasteland. They're not using it, but they may use it during upkeep. Yep, that sucks. We're both down in the dumps. They have the luxury of time being on their side. This is a really interesting match. This is the kind of Magic that I like to play because who knows what's going to happen. Okay, that's bad. They're getting closer to being able to unlock her. They're getting a Surveil trigger. We do have 21 lands in our deck. Let's see. We've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 16 lands left in 47 cards. Yeah, Tamiyo is just getting insane loyalty here. All right, that's good. I'll get a Surveil land here. But I'm not going to do it until I know that they don't play a wasteland for a turn. They're playing 20 lands. So they're playing fewer lands than me, but they did have that selection last turn. They put Psychic Frog into their graveyard, so they did get closer to the land. Let's see, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lands. So they've got 15 lands left in a 44 card deck. 1 in 4 lands, or 1 in 3 cards, roughly. They're returning a Daze. I mean, they might as well. They have the loyalty. Oh, no. They've got a land too. Okay, this is not good. I should have fetched there. I still think it's right. I'm not going to cast anything this turn because of the known days. So I'll Undercity Sewer, and let's see if we can find a land. It's not the best land, but I will take it. Yeah. All right, I'm just going to attack Tamiyo. This is the rare moment where I can attack her. And now she's at least one turn away from ultimating. And keep in mind, when I knock loyalty off her, that does make it a little harder for... Yeah, I think with the days in their hand, I don't want to waste here. Because, I mean, if I draw another land, I can at least deploy Baleful Strix, or I can Samwise waste, return waste. Yeah. All right, let's see what they have. Psychic Frog, maybe. If they pushed, I think they would have pushed a long time ago, because they can push and then they can ultimate. Murktide is something you can do, and it is quite dangerous. I need to get this Baleful Strix into play stat. I've got 3 turns. Okay, they're returning a Force of Will. Okay. So I can no longer attack into Tamiyo, and they have Force and blue card for my next card. So I don't think we're winning this. I didn't really think we were winning it anyway. Yeah, the top deck is not helping the matter. If we waste them off black here, it reduces the likelihood that they'll find the land for Fatal Push. Because I think my next card is forced either way. I'm not going to do it though. I'm going to wait. These are the very small decisions that may cost me the game. But I'm just going to have to work through their force. Okay, so we're taking 6. So we have 3 turns on the clock before death. Yeah, that sucks. So I don't think we can win now, because even if we draw a white for a plow, they can just force it. I'm just going to turn off my yield through the turn so we can use up a little bit of their clock. They're a little behind on clock. Stifle doesn't do anything. Yeah, I'm just going to pass and yield. All right, and I'm going to let them swing with the lethal attack here. And we will go to game 2. In terms of cards to board in, I'm already kind of pre-boarded for this matchup. I don't know what would help here. They're not really using their graveyard. Dress Down doesn't do a lot. Harbinger of Seas actually might be good. Are they playing any basics? Let's take a look. Because if we can get them off their splash colors, that's good. They are not playing any basics. Okay, so that's good to know. I think if we do get them off their splash colors, they can still win with Murktide, but I don't know. They can still win off Tamiyo. I mean, it's not feeling like a great card. Like shutting off their... What did we shut off? We shut off Fatal Push. We shut off their ability to go up the Beanstalk. And also, they're almost certainly bringing in... Oh, wait. They're not playing freaking Carpet. That's interesting. They don't really have any sideboard cards that are good against us either. Torpor Orb actually is not terrible, but I seriously doubt they board that in. Yeah. All right. So cards that we are going to pull out. We're definitely keeping Prismatic Ending in. It's good against like their entire deck. I'm not going to bring this in. I don't think Force Negation is good. I don't think anything's good. Lavinia is the only card that I would consider good because it does shut off Murderous Cut. But that seems like a pretty low bar to clear. Yeah, and Murderous Cut they have 2 of. I think we keep our forces in. I think we keep everything as it is. Yeah, we just have to outplay them. I think, did we make any big mistakes last game? I don't think so. We respected Tamiyo, but they had the second brainstorm. So yeah, I think they had the better, and were they on the play or were we on the play? Yeah, they were on the play. So that was a big part of it too. It may not seem like that's a big deal when the game goes on for like, 10, 15 turns like that one did. But being on the play gave them additional mana. Like they were able to profitably daze, I think, at least once. So being on the play is almost like getting a free daze. This is great. This is really good. Really, really good. I'm very happy with this. I'm going to keep this. And I think playing on basics is not a bad idea here. It is the coward's decision, but we don't actually need... Yeah, I think I'm going to play on basics. I'm going to play this out, and then I'll use that to fetch a island, and I will spell pierce literally the first thing they put on stack. And then next turn, I will attempt to stick a frog, and I'll hold the Strix. They're not playing Bowmasters at all in their 75. So I'll just hold the Strix until I need it. Okay, they're down on clock. They've mulled to 6. I feel favored. For this game anyway. Because their deck does need time to close. I mean, it is kind of explosive and it's playing all 4 Murktides. That is what I'm talking about. They did decide to play Carpet. So I'm just going to attempt to pierce this. And even if it resolves, I'll just, this will be the only island I'll play. I would love for them to like daze or something. Okay, nothing. All right. Now... Yeah, I mean, it's got to be... I want to play Strix just because it if they daze it, it's not that bad. I think they would have dazed there, though. If this is... Okay, that's fine. That would explain why they didn't daze. They had a backup one. And they may have boarded some number of dazes out on the draw anyway. Okay. So we want to find our prismatic ending. I think we can restrict their mana and it's still worth doing. I'm going to attack here. They have the potential of Murderous Cutting, which would be really bad for us. I think we want to just play Bowmasters now. Well, they can't do anything about it, and then I'm going to remove their black source. So we're playing Bowmasters proactively because we don't expect them to have Bowmasters, and it does punish of the Beanstalk if they have future of the Beanstalk triggers. If they have a force here, they're going to get a card. Everything's going to be great for them. There's nothing we can do about it. Yep. But, yeah. I mean, I don't think we waste them here. What do they have? We don't have days. We shouldn't pretend to have days. Yeah, we just need to wait. And then I'll just attempt to resolve another Bowmasters next turn. But they had like a really solid hand. Like I thought we had a solid hand. They have a very solid hand. This will be more useful later if I can find a Samwise anyway. But this kind of sucks because I can't use this to get my basic. Gosh, that really sucks. If they draw another force, like we are very far behind. I was contemplating putting like a Serenity in my sideboard. But I opted not to because it would blow up my Strixes. And because we already had Dress Down for like Saga Mirrors and stuff. But if Beanstalk continues to get more popular, Serenity will be a good option. Yep. They're building up mana. I mean, the number one thing I cannot do is feed them. That's fine. I do want to be able to fetch... see, how bad is feeding them at this point? They've got 2 cards in hand. I think it's likely that if I play a Psychic Frog, they're going to... they may counter it. And if they do counter it, then I can attempt to Bowmasters here. And at least get some triggers. I'm not going to be attacking with this because this can essentially wall Tamiyo for a while. The real blowout would be if they had... well, they wouldn't... They either have force or potentially a daze, but I don't think they have a daze. I think they're thinking about force here. Because they would force pitch daze, and then, boom, we go get our... Okay. That's in. Interesting. Well, I'm going to pass. I don't want to feed their carpets. And what I'll do is whenever they put something on the stack that's going to get them cards, I will fetch and I'll put my Bowmasters in. They're not using this now. Maybe they're planning to use it afterward. I'm really scared that they have Force of Will. They could have another Lorien revealed. Murderous Cut. Murktide Regent. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and get some triggers off of this. I'm going to get a... Well, I can't get Plow here. Murktide's not going to be that big. I'm just going to get this, and I'm going to go ahead and Bowmaster now. If they have a Daze, I'm totally screwed, but I think it's possible they boarded Daze out. They have the Daze! No! We have lost. There's no way we're winning now. I'm trying to think of a circumstance in which we win. We do have a Baleful Strix, so not being able to Plow is not that huge of a deal. Yeah, they're flipping their Tamiyo. This is catastrophic. Absolutely catastrophic. So, things that can happen here. We may be able to... Oh, they're casting another Tamiyo. That's kind of greedy. I guess they just want to have a blocker. Okay. I'm going to ponder. I'm going to try to find a white source. So I can Plow. These cards are good, but they're not a white source. Yeah, and Force is not going to help us here. I think we need to find a white source. Samwise doesn't help us. If we attack in, they can block. We just have to chill, and this is going to start ticking up. It's so devastating that they had the Daze there. Absolutely devastating. I'm just going to hold the Wasteland. I mean, there might be a situation where I can like remove the carpet and then waste lock them. But yeah, they had a dream hand. I don't think we made any misplays. I think that it was totally fine to hold the Orcish Bowmasters, and I think it would have been a mistake to let those triggers resolve without casting it, because the likelihood of them having Daze as their last card in hand, I think, was lower than them ripping like a Force or something off up the Beanstalk and being able to force future Orcish Bowmasters. They may very well have a Force in hand right now. They may have a... I should have played out a Frog last turn. I don't think there's any downside to me playing out a second Frog. Okay, another land. Their own Frog. Yep, things are going downhill very quickly. Tamiyo's plussing. Yeah, I mean, this looks like a dream deck. Like, I'm very excited to play their deck. I do think it's going to struggle without Bowmasters of its own, but you don't need your own Bowmasters if you always have the Force of the Daze for theirs. Okay, and they're not doing anything. They're adding blue here, probably. Oh, they're not using it. Okay, they're just passing. All right. So they can just chill and amass cards, and there's not a lot I can do about it. I'm just going to go ahead and play out Psychic Frog here, and I'll pass. I don't think we can profitably attack in with this Murktide there. The good news is they can't really attack us, but the bad news is in one turn, we're going to be dead unless we can find either a Plow to get rid of their Murktide so we can attack in Tamiyo. It's still not going to necessarily knock her off her ability. Or if we can find another Bowmasters, of course, that'd be fine. Bowmasters will indefinitely stop Tamiyo, but they have tons of mana. They have all the mana they need. They have at least one Lorien revealed left in their deck, which they may be casting now with that double blue, or they may be casting another Murktide that'll grow the original Murktide. Yep, and that... Yeah, I mean, I'm still playing, but this game ended with that Daze, in my opinion. And they flipped this Tamiyo, which is fine because they have to choose one. So they killed their own Tamiyo, but they drew cards. They added power to their Murktide. Beanstalk is strong, but Beanstalk is very weak to Bowmasters. Right? Again, another card that I could potentially punish if one of my two Bowmasters had resolved. Yeah. The last time I played against this guy, I don't think I got any cards off him. Or I don't think I won any games against Bob either. Bob's a really solid player. Yeah, they're just cantripping their face off, and I'm chilling here. They're like a Fatal Push unlocks lethal combat. They've got a lot of options here. And for all I know, they may have another Force of Will in hand. Let's see what we draw. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to do this. I would really love to find a white source if they even let it resolve. They do, but I didn't find the white source. I think I'll put this back, and I'm just going to brainstorm again because I really don't have time to be chilling and doing nothing. Okay, nothing. I can't believe I said it that way. I have no time to do nothing. I'm just going to see. This is over. They're going to attack in. They'll be able to remove this. Tamiyo is going to continue to give them cantrips every turn. Yeah. They thoroughly dismembered me, or disassembled my deck and what it intends to do. All right, round 3, we're up against the Everywhere Man, who's not somebody that I've ever played against. I couldn't find anything about them on MTGO. This looks like a very solid keep. We've got basics. I think we keep this and we open with Island Tamiyo. If they remove her, that's a tragedy, but we'll be able to quickly follow up with Psychic Frog. And then once we know a little bit more about their deck, we can try to time a Bowmasters. All right, Windswept Heath, fetch. Hopefully this is some sort of deck that Bowmasters can kill creatures from. Oof. Okay, yeah. I'm not a fan of that card because that means Nadu. All right, we'll just hope to draw planes. We can potentially brainstorm into a force. I'm going to attack first and then I'll brainstorm so I get the clue in addition to flipping Tamiyo. Yeah, if next turn they played Nadu, that's going to be very bad for us. Even though we have a plow, they'll get a trigger off of it. It'll be, yeah. So let's brainstorm here. Hope to find a fetch. We do find a fetch. Okay, and I'm going to fetch and I'm going to plow this. I don't mess around. This can go back. I think we don't need both of these. Or do we not need Bowmasters? I think Bowmasters is better than Strix here. Like Strix number 2, rather. Okay, so this will flip. I'm going to go ahead and plus her before I forget. And I'm going to go get Tundra here. I do want to put a Scrubland in the deck just because there are lots of situations where I would like to be able to get a card that is not going to feed Murktide. Or, I'm sorry, feed Carpet of Flowers. They have Daze here, that's bad. I don't think Nadu decks generally play Daze. Daze is such an amazing card, but it really isn't good in like this deck, for example, that we're playing. Which is why I just play it as a one-of. I mean, I do have the 4 Wastelands, but you don't want to be dazing cards back to your hand when you're trying to like defend yourself from death. Daze is very much a card that the aggressor should be holding, in my opinion, which is why even Delver decks side it out in post board games sometimes. Okay, so we may have screwed them off a color. Yeah, very expected Shuko there. Right. I'm gonna plus here. I'm going to deploy a Psychic Frog. They don't have removal colors. And we're going to try to start attacking. We're 1 turn away, or 2 turns away from ultimating Tamiyo, which, if anything can race Nadu, it's ultimating Tamiyo and drawing half your deck. But even that might not be strong enough. Frankly, Nadu's just so strong. I would say, like, if you were to like list the cards I don't like playing against, Nadu would be like near the top. Okay, that's fine. I don't think they're going to attempt to block here, but if they do, I will happily discard a card and kill their card. Okay, this is good. So I think I'm going to start by attacking here. We're going to get our card. Oh, discard. Do I want to discard a Spell Pierce? I mean, all these other cards are like value positive. Let's discard that. I'm going to plus. And I'm going to go ahead and deploy a second Psychic Frog. All right. So they have to stop Tamiyo. And they have to... okay, this is fine. I'm happy with that exchange. Because Tamiyo Frog is a combo I can attack for however many cards I have in my hand. So even if they get a Nadu out here, I'm not that worried. Okay, and they scooped. Great. We won game 1 against Nadu control, which is great. So cards that we can bring in here. Dress Down is definitely an option. Harbinger of the Seas may be good because they do need lots of colors, and they play at least 3 colors. I think they just play 3 colors. I don't get the vibe that they're playing like a breakfast build. They could be playing breakfast. They're probably playing Green Sun Zenith. So those are the cards that I'd be considering. As far as cards that I could take out, Daze, Stifle, Spell Pierce. I'm not worried about their spells. I'm worried about their creatures here. I am thinking about just going down to one of these, Harbinger of the Seas, because it's not a card you want to draw on duplicates, and I don't think the second one's worth the sideboard slot because it comes out really late in the game. We don't have any acceleration. So I would definitely consider pulling this out and maybe putting the Serenity in the board or something like that, because we don't have any enchantments or artifacts that die other than Baleful Strix. I could play this out of respect for... No, I'm gonna wait until I see Breakfast. I think Dress Down might actually be worth playing here. I don't think they're playing. Usually people don't play Urza Saga, but they might be. But just the ability to like knock off an ability for a turn might be worth it, and it does cantrip. Like if somebody Nadus and they only have Shuko out, you can potentially. Oh, this is. I think I'm going to play this. I'm going to keep this, and I'm going to hope that they don't have Wasteland. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fetch Underground Sea, and I'm going to Tamiyo again. I just like having these double forces, because they're not generally a Daze deck. So these forces will stop cards, even though they're going to make me go down a card. I'll keep this. They mulled to 6. We have tons of time on the clock. We're playing quickly. All right. It's going to be another turn 1 halfling. I will force that. Plains, Shuko. I'm not going to force this. This card on its own doesn't really do anything. It's a pretty terrible card. I like to say with Cephalid Breakfast, you get to play the worst equipment ever played, ever printed, and the best equipment ever printed. Shuko and Cauldron Complete, respectively. So we'll just grab this. And again, we're going to be like really screwed if they play Wasteland, but I don't think they play Wasteland. Risk reward. The reward of having both of our colors is greater than the risk. If we top deck a land and we can just slam a frog, that'll be very good. Nomads. This is a redundant effect. I'm just going to stop the Nadu and not worry about the A cards. I'm going to focus on the B card, Nadu. Okay. We did not draw a land. I think I'm going to attack and then I'm going to brainstorm. That way I can flip this. The other alternative is to ponder, which is more likely to guarantee a second land. And then we can just keep this around to attack for another turn. I'm not worried about the 2 life. I think pondering is totally fine here. I want to maximize the likelihood of finding a land. And just like that, we would have been totally punished had we brainstormed. Oh, we even found the land. How sweet it is. All right. So again, we don't have white, but right now we don't have any white in our hand. Number 1 priority is just force Nadu. Do not let Nadu resolve. If Nadu resolves, the game is over. Okay. They're going to attack first. I will take the 2 damage. So a note on that brainstorm play, it's tempting to think like more than half or more than a third of my cards in my deck are, this is fine, I'll let this resolve, are lands. Like it's unlikely that I'll brainstorm and not see a land. But if you only have like 8 fetches in your deck, you're most likely not going to see a fetch. It's actually like statistically more likely that you won't see a fetch and you will brainstorm and lock yourself. So knowing how to brainstorm and when to brainstorm, that's like a skill that I've been working on for a long time. Okay, so they're not going to be able to play their Uro next turn because they have that basic plains. So we have 2 options. One, we play the Psychic Frog, which is the more scary of the creatures. 2, we play out the Strix, which immediately gives us a card draw, which gives us a shot at finding a land. 3, we brainstorm, which flips Tamiyo, also probably finds a land, and gives us a third play, or a second play. So I think that's what I'm going to do. All right, we found a land. This land can cast Bowmasters and kill that. That's not bad. So I'm going to put back a Frog and a Strix. Don't think it's likely that they have like sorry, I'm trying to like compute everything and say everything. I don't think it's likely that they have I'll just do it now. A surgical extraction, but if they do have surgical extraction, having 1 Baleful Strix and 1 Psychic Frog in hand is going to be better for me. Okay, and I will force if they force here. I'm not sure what they're going to do here. They're going to try to Veil. Yeah, they're getting the Brainstorm out of their hand. I'm going to let that resolve. I just want to kill this Nomad. This Nomad is so much more dangerous than the Shuko. It's twice as many cards, and then it's at an instant speed if they get a Nadu out. All right. Is it going to resolve? All right. We are very favored here. All right, and they can still untap and Nadu with like, well, they don't have enough cards in their hand anymore. If they bring Uro back, this is fine. They're probably going to get Caldera. They may not even be playing Caldera. If they're playing Caldera, the only answer I have to Caldera in my entire deck is Prismatic Ending. I think I'm going to draw a Force here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and Force, and I will pitch a Strix. Strix is not that important. If they Force back, okay, I'm going to Force because I've got a blue card on top. So I'm going to go ahead and Force again, and I'll counter their Veil. Okay, and we that was a 4 for 2, and we're now tied in hands. But we did stop their threat that can help them get back into the game. And okay, Field of the Dead is not that scary. So one of the reasons I'm willing to do that is I have these clues just chilling. And this turn, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to attack up Tamiyo and probably crack clues in the instep. I'm getting some delay here. Are they conceding? No. All right. Veil is definitely a scary card because it's like a 3-for-1 basically. If, yeah, I'm just going to chill. I mean, I could deploy this, and actually I know I have a Frog on top, so maybe that was a mistake. Maybe I should have just gone ahead and done that. But I've also got these clues I can crack. Okay. Not doing anything. They still don't have the mana because they're janky mana base. No offense, but like Uro, you need a very special mana base to be able to reliably cast Uro, and this is not going to cut it, like Field of the Dead and stuff like that. Even if they do bring Uro back, it's not the end of the world. I think what I do here is I am going to deploy my Strix and see if I can, no. I'm going to deploy Frog because Frog ends the game next turn. All right, so we've got Force Up, and we don't have Plow Up, but we can go dig for a white source and remove a problematic Uro if they do get Uro onto the table somehow. If they have a blue source, they can potentially get Uro at this turn. And I would just let Uro resolve, and then, you know, when I draw my entire deck, I'll find a white source, I'll remove it. They are like super duper dead unless they have something really exceptional here. That's fine. I will happily hit you for 3 and buff my army. This is a desperation play. They could have a Veil in hand, which would stuff these triggers. Go ahead and hit them 3 times. Oh, I have to individually place these on the stack. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I feel like incredibly favored from this position. And I attribute it not to my skill as a player, but the fact that I opened like pretty much a perfect hand, and I did find the land off of that Ponder. Okay, that Ponder play instead of Brainstorm I think was pretty heads up. I'll give myself a little credit. All right, they do have the land, but they're choosing not. Oh, wait, they can't bring Uro back because they don't have enough blue. Okay. Well, hasta lasagna, don't get any Anya, as they say in... That's what Emilio Estevez said in Mission Impossible. I'll just draw my deck. Yep, good games. All right, game 4, match 4 against Cloud Goat Ranger. I've heard of this person, I think. Of course, there's a card called Cloud Goat Ranger, which makes it very hard to look them up. Let's see if this works. Yeah, there we go. They are on Painter, most likely, which is actually not as bad of a matchup here because we do have white and black creatures in addition to our blue threats. This was Legacy Challenge like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 6-1. That's some serious performance in the challenge. Okay, so good luck, have fun. And this is a pretty good anti-painter hand. I like the Plow especially. And the Wasteland will insulate us against Saga, and we're on the play, which is always nice. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and play out the Underground Sea. I don't expect them to have Wasteland here. The reason I'm doing this instead is because I don't want it to fetch if I have to interact somehow. I want to save this to be able to brainstorm away the Murktide, which is a really bad card if they are a painter. Like, nothing says, like, spend a whole bunch of mana and dump my entire graveyard into exile just so you can red blast. Okay, they're not Painter. What else have they been playing recently that would involve Azorius Mill? Oh, that's Mill. That's Modern. I was like, Mill? Yeah, I don't see anything in here, so who knows what they're playing. All right, I'm just going to be patient and learn more about their deck before I commit to any particular line. And if MTGO can quit stalling, that would be amazing with my control deck that uses a ton of clock to win. Okay, did it work? Okay, yeah. Ponder is fine. Yeah. So when I start with this, hopefully they're just going to assume I'm rescam, and they're going to have no idea that I have the power of Swords to Plowshares and other great cards at my disposal. I'll just play this, and I'll pass. I don't want to cast Bowmasters into a potential Daze. And when I see Island, I think like probably more than half of decks that play Island right now are also playing Daze. Force of Will is a great draw because it pairs very well with Murktide. Okay, now you're giving me rescan vibes. If I brainstorm here, there is a possibility that they're just going to Murktide me or Bowmaster me. I think that's okay because I do have the ability to yeah, I'm going to do this. I don't want this Wasteland. I don't really want the Murktide. And I'm not sure that I want the Force. Maybe I could have waited a turn, but I do want to do something, tempo positive here. I am on the play after all. Psychic Frog is a great tempo play, a positive play. I'm going to put Plowback because I don't have white mana. And I'm going to put Murktide back because it's just like a later game play. And they are going to definitely think I am rescam here. That's fine. So they were disciplined with their cantrip and they didn't play into Bowmaster. But the fact that Bowmasters is on the brain, maybe they do have Bowmasters in their deck. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get the Surveil land just for a little extra selection. And because I no longer have any white cards in my hand, I can go get white mana if I need to later. Yeah, I'll take a second Psychic Frog in case this one doesn't resolve. Fetching around Stifle. Very disciplined. Okay, so they're on some sort of energy strategy. But the fact that they didn't fetch a Tundra means they're probably not on Wrath of the Skies. I'm just going to play this out. I'm trying to think of what other energy cards are worth playing other than Wrath of the Skies. I can't think of any. All right, let's see if they do have white sources in their deck. They do. It's a 1-for-1. I've got another one. They probably have more important stuff to force than that. Okay. Wrath of the Skies actually is probably going to be a 1-for-1 because I'm not going to put a bunch of permanents out against a Wrath of the Skies deck. So maybe I could have forced there. Yeah, maybe I'll regret not forcing there. I got another Wasteland. I'm going to play it out. Black, blue, Psychic Frog. Stern Scolding. Counter target spell with power or toughness 2 or less. Well, this is kind of sad, but I am going to counter this. And I think I'm going to pitch the Force because I'll be embarrassed if like Force is the card left in my hand after all this exchange. Yeah, and they may be able to plow it, and I'm okay with that because the upside potential of me having this in play and being able to connect even one time is great enough. They do have potential Wrath of the Skies mana here. This is frustrating. I am going to be able to kill this with my Bowmasters, but they are going to be able to plow my Psychic Frog that I just forced to protect. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, Snapcaster, a card that I don't think is good enough for Legacy anymore. Like, I was seriously considering putting one in this deck. I'm going to start with a Brainstorm here, because if I can find a fetch, Tamiyo is good. Okay, I think what I do is I probably put these two back that I can't cast. Know that the top of my deck is terrible. And, okay, never mind. I'm just going to play this out, and I'll pass. And we'll see what they do here. Okay, that's not the important card. The important card is the Orcish Bowmasters. However, I do kind of want to play around Hardcast Force. If they have it, so I am going to Bowmasters now. And if they have a cantrip as their last card in hand, they'll probably burn it. Let's get rid of that so I can attack in. And Wrath of the Skies would be pretty good here. There are a lot of things they could do. But we know the top 2 cards of our deck suck, and we're all in on this Bowmasters. So if they can clear this, the game's basically over. It's the Wrath of the Skies. Yep, and I think we lost this, but I'm going to play it out just to learn more about their deck. Yeah, they unlocked the last cantrip. They've got 4 cards in their hand. They've got like all the mana. They've got basics. There's not a lot I can do here. We're going to get certainly for this game, we're going to get out-controlled. Control decks, like pure control decks, are generally better than mid-range decks. Plow is probably not even good against their deck. Brain Surge, I can't punish that, unfortunately. That's a net 1 card. It's a card that's terrible against my deck, but it's really good here because they were able to clear that Bowmasters. All right, we're just learning more about their deck. I'm just like F6ing. Preserve time. Their deck does take a lot of time to win. It'll be interesting to see what their win con is. Most likely it's just a another Brain Surge. Yeah, go hog wild here. I mean, that would be 4 Bowmaster pings if we get a Bowmaster down. Speaking of getting a Bowmaster down, let's see if we can find a Bowmasters. Because, I mean, like, if there's any way to dig ourselves out of that, it's that. I mean, this is a white source. I'm going to keep this just because, like, I should have played the land out this turn. It doesn't matter. I need to draw the land and the Samwise as separate cards anyway. Okay, they are probably buying back, what was that, Lorien Revealed? Stern Scolding. Interesting. Yeah, well, that's going to stop my Samwise. And they have correctly identified that, like, basically all the threats in my deck, other than my one-off Murktide, is a 2-drop. So Stern Scolding will do a lot here. Yep, I don't think I can do anything against that. I'm just going to go ahead and F6 here. Oh wait, they're getting non-basics. Wait. I am going to destroy that. I mean, I might as well do this. And they might be able to bounce that to hand. I think I keep it. Do I keep it around for Samwise? I don't even think Samwise is going to resolve. I'm just going to go for it. All right. Okay. Yeah, I think if I could get a Tamiyo to stay in play, that is like a 1-drop that, they're playing multiple Mystic Sanctuaries. The Mad Lad. All right, well, I know their deck is going to be slow as heck, so I'm definitely playing this out. I will get a Tundra. Now you know that you see my true colors. That's why I love you. I'm just going to pass. I don't think it's wise to play out Stern Scolding just to get it out of their hand. If I get a window to cast it, I'll play it. I don't think I'm going to get a window. Okay, now that I've got 2 of them, yeah, I'm still not going to do anything until their turn. There's no reason to do it during my turn. But I will probably play one just to... They're so far ahead, it's not even funny. They've got 9 cards in their hand. It's so hard for me to just not do anything, like, because I'm still thinking, like, I might be in it, but I'm not in it. I'm absolutely not in it. None of this stuff is going to matter. Now they have Jace. I'm just going to let them slowly Jace me out. This is a deck that will absolutely fold. Just like last round, Bowmasters is so good. Bowmasters is good against this deck. It's good against the deck from last round, and it's good against my deck. You should be playing 4 Bowmasters right now if people are trying to do this greedy stuff with card draw. They're not even plussing here. Maybe they haven't gotten the memo that I don't care, and I'm just like F6ing, but yeah, I mean, they have plenty of time on their clock. Discarding cards, showing me more of their deck. I am not opposed to it. Yeah, these Swords of Plowshares are not going to do anything. Entreat the Angels. Okay, this is like the full Force of Fill Miracle style deck. Okay, I'm just going to buy a little clock by exiling these in step. I don't have anything else going on. Okay, well, I was supposed to do it in step. I will just plow one of them. Now I will fetch. I will plow another one. And now I can F6 again. Next turn I can plow another one, and I can use more of their clock that way. Again, I've said this in my previous videos, but like if somebody's playing like an extremely slow control deck, like what they're trading really is like they have to take a ton of game actions. It takes them a ton of time to end the game. they have to be able to play fast. That's just part of it. And you have to be able to compress the amount of time they have to make decisions and things like that. And, that's just how the game works. So I don't feel guilty at all for using clock here. That's fine. I'm just going to let them have their decision here and use more clock. Again, I have no illusions of winning. It's just learning more about their deck. Oh, they are down to 13 cards. For some reason, they're still drawing cards. Do they have a way to put their graveyard back into their deck? What did they... Okay. I think it's okay to just put this thread out here. Just to like further confuse them, stall them. I mean, yeah. Oh, it resolved. Okay. So I presume they have a plow here. That's fine. They didn't think it was worth the Stern Scolding? Or did they discard the Stern Scolding? I can't imagine they would discard that. All right. I'm gonna attempt the Bowmasters and I have Force. I don't think it's gonna get through. Wow. I'll take a loyalty off Jace. That is crazy that resolved. They must have just some like tons of removal in their hand. I can't think of why else they would do that. If they somehow destroy this instead of the Miracle Trigger resolve, I'm going to attempt to force here, which they're going to have to force back. And I'm sure they'll force back. They have mana to Hardcast for force. It's fine. Now we know they have Force Negation in their deck as well. I'll just put that in there. I don't have to order this token, but MTGO makes me do it anyway. Yeah, unfortunately, the Terminus means that I can't return with Samwise. Just attempt to get something out here. They've got 10 cards in their deck. They might very well be able to just play forever by like bouncing Mystic Sanctuaries, and maybe decking is not actually a viable path to victory. But this is a very experienced MTGO player. I'm going to assume they know what they're doing. I'll attack Jace here. I'm more interested in getting through their cards than I am doing anything else. That's fine. I will draw. I'll discard this. Even if they entreat the Angels, I do have a force. Okay, they're probably going to entreat the Angels again for like a ton. Yeah, there's nothing I can do about that, but I can make them resolve it. So my dream of them running out of cards is over, but I can still, eat up some of their clock. So they plus their, so they do get to see some of my cards, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. They've already seen that I'm on like some sort of Esper Tempt strategy. And now they just attack for lethal. So we're up not even a whole minute because I play slow and they play very quickly despite the sheer volume of operations they have to perform. So, I think Lavinia is a clear inclusion here. I did not see a trace of red, so I'm not bringing in the red blasts. The only other card I can consider bringing in, this could potentially counter, like, it's not something I seriously entertain. So cards that are going to be bad here, Murktide is going to be terrible. In terms of permanents we could target, I didn't see a single permanent other than, they're just not playing permanents really. Consign to Memory can stop Miracle Triggers. I don't think that's worth bringing in. Now Spellbomb might actually be worth bringing in just because our removal spells are so terrible. I don't think that's going to do anything. I actually think that Prismatic Ending is better than Plow here because if they do bring in like Back to Basics or something like that, we can use it on that. I don't think they'll bring it in, but I don't think I showed them any basics, so it's possible they bring it in. Wasteland could definitely come out. I think we bring Murktide back in and we take out a Wasteland. There were like so few Wasteland targets there, and it's an extra land in my deck. All right, let's do it. I'm going to not mulligan against the control deck. I'm just going to hope that this Undercity Sewers finds another land. We have Brainstorm to find a land. If we don't, I'm going to put that in the graveyard. All right. I'm going to go get a land here, hopefully. Oh, so sad that we got Brainstorm locked with our 20 land deck, but it's just my luck. And this is precisely what I was saying earlier, where like it's not guaranteed. Never take anything for guarantee. Just in case, like this is the most powerful card in our deck against them. I'm going to put this at the bottom. And next turn, we're going to attempt a Tamiyo. I didn't see Prismatic Ending, but they might have it in there. Yeah, they're probably doing the happy dance over there. After we got Brainstorm locked, you really need to hit your land drops in this mirror. Right? It's not a mirror per se. Like, we're more of a mid-range deck. They're a pure control deck. Like, as pure a control deck as you can get. It would be very difficult for me to imagine a deck that's more controlling than this. We're going to have to look out for cards like Counterbalance, I think is probably in there. All right, so I'm going to play this Tamiyo, and I will defend it with a Force Negation because it's all I've got going on. But that, presupposes that they're going to use it on their turn. And it looks like they may be plowing now. Yep. All right. We know our next draw is dead. We do have a Brainstorm that I'll use to try to find a fetch, so we're not completely listless. I totally think this was a keep. We had the potential to see 5 cards in our 20 land deck to find a land. This does yield them a lot of card selection. I think I'm going to attempt to stop this. I'm going to pitch Strix, which is pretty terrible against their deck. They don't really attack. Okay, so that was a 0 for 3 in terms of mana, but that did put us down a card. But considering that our deck doesn't... Please don't Brainstorm lock me again. I'll just concede if I get Brainstorm locked again. All right. Good games. Yeah. I can't do anything about that. I am very much just, that is variance. Double locked. All right, cool. And they've already left. They've already moved on. They don't want to hear me saltily complain about Brainstorm lock. Okay. So far this league, we're 2-2. And I'm hoping that we can rally and we can get the positive record here. I feel like we were favored very much against that Miracles deck. Like, I genuinely feel like we were favored, but we didn't find land. We looked at, I think, like 14 cards maybe, and we only found 1 land out of those 14 cards we looked at. I did cut a Wasteland, but that shouldn't be an issue because it's still 20 land. I don't play decks with bad mana bases. That's just not how I roll. But even with good mana bases, you can still just fall victim to variance. Chalky Milk. So I think it's like chocolate milk. I misspelled it. Chalky Milk. Is this Chalky Milk? No, it's double C. Okay. Not a lot of legacy finishes recently. Oh, that was that was like a month ago. They do a lot of formats. Flage. I would love to play against Flage. I've never seen this card in action. Solitude. So this is a big control Yorion list. It's not quite as all-in control as the other list, but we do need to play quickly, and they're not even necessarily on this. But they are on Yorion. I'm going to keep this. Let's see. Do they have Wastelands? They don't even have Wasteland. Okay, that's great news. So I can be as greedy as I want. They are not playing, as far as I can tell, any way to punish non-basics. I'm going to assume that they're on this list. I'm going to keep this, and I'm just going to go start by fetching an Underground Sea, and I'm going to cast a Tamiyo. This is one of those matchups where you need to be the aggressor very much. The longer the game goes on, the worse it gets for you. I will not defend Tamiyo because I need to counter Beanstalk. If they exile Tamiyo, that's fine. I got another Tamiyo. Right. Draw. I'm going to go ahead and play this out, and I'll attack. And I'll let my big spooky Wasteland deter them. They do have basics in their deck. They've got a basic Plains, a basic Forest, and a basic Island. And that'll just keep Bowmaster up. I think that's more important than pondering to try to find land number 3. We can ponder next turn, though. And if they don't play anything that would necessitate... they're not playing Bowmasters. Okay, good. Yeah, I think they're on this list because, like, right out the bat, they're coming at us with the red here. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and use this clue. All right, Murktide Regent, not terrible. I'm going to ponder for a land. And then if we do find land, we have the option of going ahead and flipping Tamiyo. They are not playing... Well, they've got 2 prismatic innings. This is great. I actually think that Stifle could play a part here, play a role. So what I'm going to do... I want all these cards. I'll do a sandwich here. This will be on the bottom, then this, then this. Okay, and I'll play this out. And I'm just going to go ahead and attack here. If they remove it somehow, I'll just play another one after combat. All right, long pause there before combat. They could be multi-queuing. They play a lot of formats. And I'm just going to pass. Passing, they don't play days, do they? Yeah. Passing, like, I could just draw the card later. Actually, yeah, I'm going to keep her out because she's a card draw engine. I could have gotten the motor running, so to speak, with Tamiyo, but I like the card draw here. This is a brainstorm that we're not going to be able to punish. Yeah, I don't think they have days. I can't really think of any reason. Oh, yeah, that is definitely a reason why flipping Tamiyo would have been smart there, because it does terminus proof her. But this is fine. It's a 1-for-1, and really it's like I've already drawn 2 cards off her, so it's not the end if they cast this. I'd much rather them do this now than once I have Bowmaster out. Okay, so that means that my Stifle is less likely to be relevant in this game. I'll draw a card, and we're going to get a land here. I think we go ahead and deploy Psychic Frog rather than Tamiyo. Then we have Bowmasters up as well. I think Psychic Frog is just more pressuring. I'm not going to waste them yet. That may be foolish, but I like having all these options. I am going to force this because if this connects, it's going to be very valuable for me. Okay, it looks like they have, what, a brainstorm? Please brainstorm here. Please brainstorm here. They're thinking about it. Okay, they're just going to force back, which is fine. Yeah, we gain the life. And yeah, they definitely are spooked to brainstorm or to Bowmasters though. So if they don't give me a Bowmasters target, I'm not going to play it. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and play it. I don't have any white cards in my hand. I don't need to get the Tundra here. If they deal with this, that's fine. I have another one, but just getting the clock going on it. Okay, and they brainstorm up over the Orcish Bowmasters was fine. They may be able to find a way to remove it. If they do, that's okay. I still have the token. If they don't find a way to remove it, I'm going to have 3 power on the table next turn. And I probably am at the stage where I'll waste green. Okay, this resolves. Bowmasters is so important. Like, this card is very strong in these matchups. Even though I lost to Bob Buttons and to Cloudgoat Ranger on their control decks, like, I wouldn't have had a prayer without Orcish Bowmasters, even though I can't remember exactly what happened game 2 against Bob Buttons. I think they just had like an extremely strong hand with Daze and Force, and you can't play around everything. Okay. So I think we take the green source because, I mean, they are an Uro deck and they're a Beanstalk deck, and they've got Ground Seal too. So it does cut them off quite a few cards. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and attack in first, see what they do. Attack in. Do they have a plow? Just going to take this here. I like keeping both Stifle and Orcish Bowmasters up, just because they might remove that and think they're safe. Okay, they're adding green. Yep, and I don't think they play any instant speed for green, so they're going to drain their mana pool, and we're going to go to their turn. They are about 30 seconds ahead of me. I'll just Stifle that Miracle Trigger. Strand this expensive card in their hand. And because they already tapped, I don't even think they can undo that. So they just burned a white mana for no reason. They had to wait till that resolved. Okay. This is pressure advantage time. I'm going to go ahead and bring in the second Bowmasters, and I'm just going to keep hitting them. Then I'm going to play out the frog. I know they have the answer in their hand, but they'll need to like find a brainstorm, which is not going to work. They're not going to be able to brainstorm that back on top of their deck. They need to make 2 more land drops. I think this is like the advanced player, I guess, in me, like the new Be Excellent, who's, you know, got a little bit more practice. I think if we jam Psychic Frog, we basically win in 1 turn rather than 2. And worst case scenario, we have Tamiyo waiting in the wings to try to rebuild. I like that. So now they've got to get rid of so many things. They have 1 turn to figure this out. You know, make them have it, as they say. Oh, they had another one? Okay, that is unlikely to happen. But that can happen, and that did happen, and that is what it is. I'm not going to fall into result-oriented thinking, but like I'm not crazy, right? Like they have a Terminus in their hand, and they had another Terminus, and they have a Terminus in their yard. How many Terminuses do they play? This says they only play 1, but they clearly play at least 3. Okay, they put Yorion in the hand. I'm going to fetch a Surveil land rather than fetch a white source. They don't even know that I play white at this point, and I'm much more interested in just finding something. I mean, they're going to know that I play white now. Okay. So unfortunately, Tamiyo is not even going to be able to attack, but I do have Brainstorm. So what I'll do is they're probably going to play Yorion, and then I can respond to anything they do to remove her or after block with a Brainstorm. So this Brainstorm is a defensive Brainstorm now. I think it's more valuable to get the cards off of attacking her and then brainstorming than it is for me to just try to aggro flipper, because Yorion can kill her in 2 swings anyway. Yeah, yeah, I mean, there's nothing to be done. I regret nothing. It is worth noting they have yet another Terminus in hand, so if they want to play a land, they might be able to Terminus here and get rid of her. They're not going to play Yorion. Maybe they're afraid of Daze. I mean, that would be embarrassing to get dazed. All right, let's go ahead and attack here. And I'm not going to flip her until they give me a reason to flip her. That's kind of a frustrating card. I guess I am going to flip her because like they can just plow her. They can still plow her on the stack, but I've got to try. They also could have like Null Drifter or something in hand. Another dress down. Okay. Wow, they're really going deep on the dress downs. I would love to. Well, I'm not going to be able to get a Bowmaster here. It does anything. Okay. So this is good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put back these cards that probably don't matter. Yeah, I'll put these back. Okay, you've got a dress down. No point in attacking. Play this out, and I'm going to pass. And then after combat, actually, I'm not going to do anything because they may like somehow not kill her, and I'd rather have Samwise be able to retrieve her from the graveyard than retrieve this fetch. So I'll just be patient. Yeah, and also knowing that they have a Terminus. Fine. I do have a plow. I can't remember if I stacked the plow where it's on top, though. I could accidentally rip a land here because I put them both back really quickly. I didn't think about it. That's fine. So if I can plow this, then I can still, attack with Tamiyo. That would be good. I put the force back first. Yeah, I'm just going to attack, and then I can return her and replay her, I guess. Get the card. This is really bad if they... oh, you know what? Check this out. I think my top card is a plow. So I'm going to get this. I'm going to get my plow. And now I'm just going to go get my... And I can still be blown out. How's that? You like that? All right, it worked. She's still alive. All right. Yeah, and next turn, if they... I mean, they're probably going to Terminus here to get rid of her. Probably going to get another Surveil land. Oh, man, that second Terminus. Such a beating. What are they going to put on top? Force of Will would be a good one. Plow. Yeah, I can't do anything about that. They're going to be able to plow her. We did get an extra card offer, though, and we got rid of their Yorion. And it's important to note that they still have the Terminus for the next card. We'll see what we rip. I would love to rip another Bowmasters. It doesn't really do anything here. I'm just going to pass and keep Hardcast Force up, and then end step I can flash in Samwise, which is not going to survive, but can potentially draw a 1-for-1 interaction out of their hand. I think it's worth going ahead and playing it and not waiting, so I'm going to do it. Because if for some reason I'm able to start bouncing it, it can start giving me card selection. Chalky Milk. Such a... Now I want to go get a chocolate milk, a Yoo-hoo or something. All right. That is a pretty terrible card to draw, especially after we've already deployed. I don't know, my trackpad stopped working? My trackpad stopped working. Just let me figure this out. My trackpad has reconnected. I'm going to attack. Oh! I guess I'm not going to attack. Yeah, I'll play this out. I mean, I don't think it's going to play any role here. I'm trying to think of a reason. They don't have an Uro in their graveyard. Yeah, I'm just going to pass. They've got all their colors. Okay. I guess Terminus does become a lot better when you have lots of surveil abilities and things like that. Maybe I should play a Terminus deck. I mean, Terminus has probably never been better with like Eldrazi and all this other stuff. Yeah, if I had attacked, they'd be at 6. Damn trackpad. All right. Okay, this is a good card. I think I'm going to attack first and just see what they do. See if they have any interaction here. Okay, no blocks. I'm going to go ahead and main phase it. I wouldn't be surprised if they just force this. I mean, it's like, it does move forward my clock quite a bit. And I'm just going to force right back at you. Like Kirby. Kirby back at you. All right, we're trading 1-for-1 interaction. Their spells are way more powerful than mine at this point. Oh, these are so good. This is the least powerful. This, okay, yeah. So they made Terminus me just because of the clock. It's a really weak clock, but it is a clock. I'm going to go ahead and F6 through their turn. There's nothing I can do here. Yep, that's fine. So that was 1-for-1. They've got one card in hand, which is not where you want to be when you're a control deck with the Yorion. Even if they get... Okay, what do we got here? I'm just going to play this out, and hopefully they don't have any more Mystic Sanctuaries. If they do, we're in trouble. I think I am going to play this out too, just because I want forward momentum. There's like no benefit to taking my time here. Okay, that was the plow we knew about. I'm just going to pass. There's definitely an argument for not doing that, but now we have lethal on board. Not that I would pitch cards to this. Okay, wow. We're going to get an attack step. Okay, we won. Wow, we won. All right. So we suspect they're playing Uro. Harbinger seems really strong here. Even with the basics, I think it's good. Lavinia, I'm going to presume they're playing some number of... so we know they're on a different deck, right? But I do suspect... That's so weird that they wouldn't be playing... Leyline Binding. Oh, wait, yeah. Leyline Binding right there. It's an 80 card deck. It takes forever to look through. Okay. I am also guilty of having played 80 card Esper Vial decks. Okay, so cards that are going to be good here. Force Negation. Hydroblast. Cards that are not that great. I don't think Plow gets played at all. The reason is if they are planning to win with either Phage or Uro, we can exile those with Prismatic Ending. I don't think now Spellbound is worth playing. I think we take out all our tempo cards. I just don't think they're going to do very much here. Maybe we keep these. And my reasoning is, no, wait, we're on the draw. I'll put them back when we're on the play. The way we beat them is the same way that we beat any control deck, which is just overload their removal and keep just slamming threats, basically, which is the same thing as overloading their removal. All right, I feel very good about our 4 Orcish Bowmasters decks. This is the nuts. All right, we are going to hold this, and we're just going to keep jamming Orcish Bowmasters like there's no tomorrow. Psychic Frog is a good card, don't get me wrong, but Bowmasters is what we really want to see against their deck. And Karakas is just delectable. I'll play this out. I'm not going to let them know about Karakas in case they do have Tamiyo or something like that in their deck. I will be sad if they pivot on to Wasteland from the list that we're looking at, though, because I'm going to need all this mana. All right, and one of the reasons Bowmasters is way better than Psychic Frog in this matchup is it's not blue. So we can jam it with an impunity, and they can have a whole bunch of Pyroblasts in their hand. All right, what are they doing? Like practically every card in their deck, I think, draws them a card. Like Ground Seal, if they're playing that, that's fine. So I'm just going to go ahead and park these two cards over here because they are wed at the hip. Carpet, yeah, I mean, that's a good card against us for sure. It is a card that I can potentially remove. I just want to see what they do here. Okay. 2 green Bowmasters. Or Uro. Okay, so sure, you can attempt to resolve your Uro, but I'm going to resolve my Bowmaster first. So I think it's quite likely that Uro comes back next turn. Well, it'll take more than one turn. Wow, how did this get in the graveyard? I think that's a misplay. Like, Veil's very good against me. Okay, and then we're going to poke them again. They stack their triggers in a weird way because normally you want to draw a card before you sack, just in case you get like a Karakas or some other interaction you want to use. Okay, this Plains is great. It is a... Yeah, I'm going to hide the fact that I have Uro, Karakas for their Uro. So they are going to get 2 mana off this carpet. There's nothing we can do about that. And I'm committed to the line of just jamming Bowmasters here. So I'd love for them to successfully remove this Bowmaster and then for me to resolve another one into Brainstorm with Force Backup. Double red. Island Cycling. Glad they're not casting that. Actually, if they cast that, that would be a total coup for me. It's great that we're playing against control decks. I'm so sick of playing against Rescam and Eldrazi. But I don't think Eldrazi is going anywhere, unfortunately. Okay, when Flage enters, unless it was sacked, Flage does 3 damage to any target and you gain 3 life. The life gain thing is kind of annoying. I think I let this resolve because they just have finite cards in their graveyard. Yeah, I'm going to let this resolve, and they're probably going to target our Bowmaster, I imagine. And then hopefully they'll think they're safe, but they are so not safe. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. All right, Orc coming down. They are doing something with blue and red mana. Address down. This is in the end step. Yeah, it kind of sucks, but I'll just let it happen. I'm not going to get the power off the Orc army, but I am still going to be able to attack them for 3. Strix is not a terrible card. I like it better than Psychic Frog because it does 1-for-1. So if we cut them off one of these lands, what does it do? We cut them off white. They still have double white off this. But they need double blue and double white. Or they need... I'm less concerned with Uro coming back than I am with this Flage card. I think I'm just going to go ahead and cut them off this. Yeah. Then I'll pass. And we've got another Bowmasters up. And at this point... Okay, they're going to pay for this, and then I'm going to force that. This is another reason to waste their white sources. Because they have to use white during their upkeep before they have access to carpet mana. Pyroblast. Well, we tried. Yeah, we're going to lose our Bowmaster and our token, which sucks, but what can we do? They're down to 3 cards. They still have tons of mana. If they add blue here and do some sort of Brainstorm or a Ponder, I will snap Bowmaster here. Unfortunately, Flage does take care of Bowmaster. If they find another white source. Yeah, I'm not feeling favored anymore. I feel like we had an insane start, like an insane hand here. But are they going to Flage again? I'm trying to think of why they would add double red. Okay. Nothing? Okay. Well, I'm going to keep with the pressure, even though it's very faint pressure. They could have Veil here to try to prevent me from drawing a card. Or prevent me from targeting them. And I'd be happy if they used Veil in that way. They're pretty far away from being able to... I am going to go ahead and ponder and see if I can find a force. If I can find a force, I'll defend this with a force. These are great cards. So I think what we want to do is we want to get Samwise. If we get Samwise looping, yeah, I think that's the play. So, oops, I'm not going to cast that. I'm going to play this out, and I'm just going to attack. And then, let's say hypothetically they return Flage to kill my Bowmaster, then I can use Samwise to get it back. Because it doesn't exile or anything like that. Yeah. Okay, good. Sometimes it's like the incinerate effect where it like kills the thing and exiles it if it's killed that way. I just wanted to make sure Flage was just normal destroy. Okay, now they've got so much mana they've unlocked the ability to return Flage. What is this? Solitude. Solitude, unfortunately, I'm going to wait for it to target. Check this out. They're going to target my Bowmaster, and then I'm going to do this. I'll make it legendary. Okay. Legendary. And we will bounce this legend back to our hand. All right. Yeah. Okay, that is the dream with Samwise. That is what you want to be doing. Okay, we've got our double Strix hand. I think we attack here with both, and I will happily trade. I'll happily trade this Orc army. Yeah, I'm gonna just attack with this, and then I'm gonna keep my. Yeah, that's fine. You could argue that I should have held that back, but I do want to be proactive here. And now I'll just play out a... do I want to play out another Bowmaster? I do. And I should have done that before combat damage. Oh, they're just conceding. Wow. Okay. So they didn't want to see how we were going to take them apart. Yeah. So I love that deck. That was so fun to play. Don't get me wrong, like, I love the power. I mean, we got to do it all. Let's take a look at the deck. So this card is just one of my favorite cards of all time. I just love the value. I love the flexibility. I love the little combat tricks you can do with Samwise. I love if you get two Samwise and one dies, you can get the other Samwise back. I love being able to slowly level up with the ring, even though it's a very weak effect. So I would say I really enjoyed this deck. Changes I would make, I would remove the second Harbinger of the Sea, and I would put in a Serenity. I'm going to go and do that now so you can see what the change would be. Okay. I mean, it's kind of like not satisfying that they didn't let us kill them, but I do think it would have taken a long time, but we would have gradually killed them. Okay, let's go to Serenity here. This I'm going to show you what this card does in case you're unfamiliar with it. It is an insanely powerful effect, but you have to wait a turn for it to trigger. So it's not as widely played as Meltdown. So at the beginning of your upkeep, destroy all artifacts and enchantments. They can't be regenerated. That doesn't generally matter, but it is worth noting. Okay, so we're going to take this out. All right, in terms of cards, I do feel like we were flooding hard. And I feel like what we could probably do is cut one land. And I'm not sure what land to cut because all these lands are good. We have so much black that I do like the ability to reliably cast these, and I don't want to get wasted off black. We do have a basic swamp. We kind of need to play basics if we're going to be casting Harbinger of Sea. Now, here's what I would absolutely do. If I were going to like a serious tournament, I would take out the swamp. I would take out the plains. And I would probably just add another Tundra here. And then that's 20 land right there. We still have the island. We can still get the island if we have a turn 2 play that we need to stick. And then I would probably take out the Spell Pierce because I love the surprise value of it. Maybe we keep it in. But we could also add, I think we could probably, one Murktide felt pretty good actually, because you saw when I was drawing it, like I often pitched it to force. It's not an early game card by any means. We don't really have a fast way of filling up our graveyard. I don't think we need to mess with the removal suite at all. That felt great. Baleful Strix is great. Yeah, I don't know what I would add. Maybe Tamiyo number 3. Tamiyo was great as always. So if we do that, we do have the win condition of essentially getting Tamiyo out and eventually drawing. But let's say hypothetically game 1, they Blood Moon. How are we going to win? Well, we can't win. We can potentially Tamiyo into Murktide with like a whole lot of protection, and that is a win. But that's not a very good win. If we put a Brazen Borrower in, then we have slightly more flexibility. However, Brazen Borrower is not Prismatic Ending, and it does cost a little bit more mana. The other option is, I don't know. I know this sideboard felt very good. I don't think there's any changes that I would make to the sideboard. We didn't get to use a lot of these cards, but you know, having a second Force of Negation is definitely nice. You know, actually, we could probably cut a Force of Negation, and we could, because I just don't generally want to bring in more than one. Consigned Memory does a lot of what Force of Negation does in combo matchups, and we could add like another card, which, I mean, to be completely candid, Painter's going to be Ascendant. It might be smart to just add another Hydroblast. Hydroblast is a very good card, and it comes in against Delver. It's very flexible. So I think if we played 3 Hydroblasts, that gives us a lot more outs to a resolved Magus of the Moon or Blood Moon effect. As far as if somebody Harbingers of the Sea us, we can, of course, counter it. We can potentially fetch and plow it. We're not going to be playing Harbinger of the Sea at all if we don't have basics. So maybe that's an argument for just keeping the basics in and keeping our mana base the way it was. I did feel like we were frequently looking for Tundra, and it was very hard to justify going and getting it early because we had so many good black spells to cast. Yeah, I'm not sure. So let's just put these basics back in, and we could cut one of the Wastelands. I mean, it's not the end of the world if we go down to 3 Wastelands. We're not a tempo deck. Let's say we cut the Wasteland, and then we do have the Swamp, and we do have the Plains. I'm sorry, I'm doing like this like a last minute breathe. You may not be here for this. You may not care about my like brewing methodology, but we add the Plains back in, and it'll show up eventually in this very slow client. Okay, there it is. Okay, so we've got all our basics. We're at 20 lands, and we've just cut a Wasteland. Wasteland is not essential. I mean, how many times do we even waste people? Usually we were just wasting people because we had nothing better to do. And there's definitely an argument like, okay, let's just drop the tempo charade altogether and let's just play good cards. And that's what this deck really could do, is just play good cards. I would love to cut Murktide completely if we're not going to have any sort of tempo at all. If we're just going to assume games are going to go long, it doesn't hurt to add another Prismatic Ending. One card we could definitely consider that I mentioned during gameplay that I wish I had access to was Marsh Flats. And there's certainly an argument for getting a Marsh Flats in here. It's a good card against... The problem with getting Marsh Flats, though, is we just don't have enough... we just don't have enough initial blue sources. In my humble opinion, you generally want 15 initial blue sources. We've got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We've got 14 currently, which is pretty low. So adding an extra one would be even worse. Is that right? 8 plus 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, it's pretty low. So yeah, I guess I would leave it here, and I'd say there's just 3 flex slots. What those flex slots are, I mean, that could be a Murktide. I wish we could play 4 of these, but if you play 4 of these, they really start jamming up your hand. A card that I love, that I would love to play one of, would be Felia. I mean, we could just put a bunch of legends in here. We've got a Crocus. Felia is great. So what Felia does is she blinks. When Felia Exuberant Shepherd attacks, exile up to one other target non-land permanent. So you're exiling Samwise. Great. You get another trigger. You're exiling Strix. You get another trigger. You exile Bowmasters. You get another trigger. Okay. So let's just go down this rabbit hole real quick and indulge me. We did see Snapcaster being played. It's a good card. Snapcasting a prismatic ending is not terrible. Hitting Swords of Plowshares, being able to hit a Ponder, it has a lot of value. And then if we're doing all this, there might be one more card that we could main deck. But at this point, I'm almost kind of thinking, yeah, maybe we do want the 21st land because we just went really heavy on land and we're not going to be bouncing lands back to our hand. So maybe we do want the scrub land. And now we are much more similar to the old, I say old, the Esper Tempted deck that was a deck for like a few weeks during the summer of 2023 when Orcish Bowmasters and Samwise were just first printed. And some people still play this. If you search MTG Legacy, MTG Space Legacy, that's a query I use. And then I sort by new, and I often see people playing Esper Tempt on like Bizarre boxes and places like that. And it's just like a value hungry deck like this. So it can be done. I'll just leave it there. Until next time, be excellent to each other and party on, dudes.